Well, hello, my fellow caramellers. How are you doing today? I was down at Andy's new big mega Andy's Hobby headquarters for the soft opening a couple of weeks ago. And I was looking forward to him opening up because I knew that he had the singles of these great AK real color markers. I did a video right there, and I've been wanting to get these colors to do some other stuff that I think are going to work out really great for doing some hand lettering, because I still like to do it the old-fashioned way. Here we go. Something that is some of my favorite modeling, as many of you know, are the 80s monogram Salvino's JR models, NASCAR race cars. I love those. And from the old monogram kits, I really do love the old monogram tires. I think they really nailed the look. And what I got here, I've got two to show you here. This is the one we're going to demo on. And this is one I hand painted many, many years ago. And I always enjoyed taking advantage of the raised lettering and doing my own hand painting. It was very self-satisfying, gratifying, and I think I could pull it off. It's something I enjoy, and I really would rather do that than use decals or even stencils. I do. It depends on what I'm going for. But lots of times, it's just a part of the enjoyment of the build for me is to hand letter, and I know there has been other people that have felt the same thing, and I have been asked about, showing some hand lettering. I've done a little bit in some other videos, but something I discovered in these AK real colors when I was doing that one video with all the metal colors and stuff is this is the most amazing little tip on a paint marker ever. Let's see, let's get it focused for us. AK did something I've never seen anyone else do in paint. I've never been a fan of paint markers. Now I'm a huge fan because of these. So I ran out and bought these two colors because I wanted them specifically for doing tires. So now I'm going to do a tire that would be something that you'd see in the 80s. Primarily my focus on NASCAR modeling. And again, we have this tire. I never cleaned it up. It looks more like a sticker tire. All I did was hand letter it. It's from a long time ago. We'll leave that right there for us to gander. We'll compare when I get done with this one. Now, this is one that I just pulled out, and I gave it a quick scrubbing. Lots of times I got a little deal. I put it on my moto tool, and I spin this sucker, and I will take... I had it here, and of course I don't have it now. I don't know what I did with it, but I had a file, okay? And a pretty heavy grit one. I don't know which one I used, but that usually does the job for me. I spin it, and it gives me the look I'm looking for. It depends on how raced I want it to look like. That's good for now. Now, I didn't clear it. I didn't do nothing. Lots of times I like to dull coat these, but I'm going to do it after I put the paint on. I want to see how the paint from these AK markers will react, or even if they do. I've really never had issues with painting directly onto these tires. Some people have. You got to clear them first, whatever. I've just never done that. I don't have issues. This was more than likely my favorite paint at the time when I did this a lot. Choice was flat Testors enamels, as much as I hate them. I didn't mind their flats so much they pretty much, dried very quick. So I was always pretty pleased with what I got from that. But I've done it with the Tamiya flat white, had just the same success. So it's 6 of one, half a dozen the other. But I think we're ready to rock. Yep, I tested it over there, and we do. What I found with this super thin tip there they have, you can get really, really good with getting very small amounts of paint down in a small area in a steady hand. Let's see, I hope I can make this work for you all, but I always come at things with an angle. You don't want to come directly down because you have a chance of getting it off to the side. So let's just see what happens. Lots of times, because the stencils, I like to keep a little gap. You know, the way the stencils are, when they painted these Goodyears on, you know, I had to hold the center hole, so there would always be a little strip. So I don't go all the way around, like especially here on the O's. It is just laying beautiful. Just a little bit, yeah. Very easy to control. I'm just keeping it on the letters. And sometimes if you don't get that spacing, you can go back. I'll show you what you can do to get that spacing back that you want to have to give it that stenciled look. But getting really good coverage. One stroke. I missed a little, but I think it went onto the foot here. So. Gotta be careful. I gotta get used to this, but I am liking this better than using a brush, that's for sure. Oh, I blew it right there. I'll show you something. What I usually do is have my X-Acto knife. I can come in there and get in there with the X-Acto knife and get that paint gone. Or worst case scenario, if you got to get in there and get rid of it by putting a dab of black. Sometimes, you know, can't be perfect all the time. You're gonna slip up. So there's my Goodyear. We'll do the eagle. Ooh, I filled the little hole in the A up a bit. Went a little too wild there. Gonna take a little getting used to the thickness of this thing, knowing where it's at. I keep getting a little bit too many dabs, but it's okay. Here we go. So that's it for the white. What I will do is I would let that dry a bit, and I would go in like I showed you with the X-Acto knife. If there's any overage or any, I want to remove a little bit of the white, make it look better. Put those lines in that you see from the way the stencil is. You can get a very good look. And here is mine I did with a brush and testers. And I'll tell you what, this was faster and so much easier, not having to dip the brush and make sure the right amount of paint is on. All that stuff you have to deal with when I was doing this, it would be very tedious. This was so incredibly simple. Holy cow. I really like this replaces the brush and the bottle, and I really like how the paint reacts. Very, very pleased. And you know, I'm on camera doing it quick. I bet you I could even do a better job if I just concentrate, but you can go back and do a little bit of cleaning up and a little bit of detail work. Go in here, like what I said about this 1O. You can come in here with your X-Acto. And if I scrape too much, go back and touch it up with the white. But actually, holy cow, this stuff actually having a little bit of a tough time getting it off. That's not a bad thing. Interesting. I just so happen to have rubber black. You can always go back with that and do it this way. It doesn't seem to want to come off, so let's. There we go. You can just kind of fix it, and even if I need to put a little more white down, that little gap a little less. There we go, I got my look. Now, why do I have the yellow? Well, there's a little thing I always like to do on my tires. I like to do the little deals with what the pit crews will do. They'll have a tire, it could be measured, certain, especially back then they did a lot of different types of staggers, different air pressures, grew the tires, shrunk the tires. These bias plies, they did that a lot with the bias plies back in the early days and all through the 80s. But they would have a specific for each corner of the car, so you might want to come to this one, you might want to go left front. Which I would do with with a little brush and a paint, and have to make sure you have the right amount of paint on there and everything. This one needs to get used a little bit more, but I probably could even get better on there. But quite honestly, you know, they would write that down with grease markers and stuff like that, like what they use in junkyards and stuff. It's okay for it to be not perfect and a little smudgy or something like that, because they just write it down real fast. Let's take the old tire here. Let me try to do a little. Yeah, I'd like to do it a little thinner. And not happy with that. So if you're early enough, you can get it off there pretty quick. I'm going to try to get it really thin, because I did with the silver, I could get a really little pinpoint. Let's see how thin we can make this. Oh yeah, look at that. A little practice. I could even get that thinner, I think. There you go. I'm going to practice a little more with these. I think I can get a little bit thinner. I really do. Have to figure out a technique, because you really can work some control with these. Be very lightly and yeah, a little bit better. Take a little practice, but I definitely like doing that better than using a little brush and some Tamiya paint, or used to use Testra's flats, but now it would be pretty much Tamiya flats. I really like these. To me, these really can replace. I'm starting to buy up different colors. My main colors I use in my bottle paints, and this could possibly replace a lot of my bottle paints and brushes, because brushes can be a hassle, and then cleaning them, and then having a cruddy bottle of lacquer thinner always sitting over here, and here, no cleanup. It's done. I'm ready to rock. I'm not hating that at all. And real quick, let's give it a blast of the most aggressive flat clear there is, the Tamiya. It's a lacquer base. This could be good, this could be bad. I don't have at my reach right now acrylic or water base. I know I have some, but I don't have it with me right now. So let's go ahead and give this thing a blast of flat. I always like to do that. There we go. Things look pretty good. Things look okay. I see a little bit of a reaction. I don't know if I would suggest using Tamiya TS80 flat clear. Probably, but well, look with this, what I got here. I am waiting to do I got this for a test. I'm waiting to do another video with you guys. I haven't opened it. I was saving it. But I really like the idea of this water-based top coat. It's a flat from Mr. Hobby. And with this stuff getting a little more obtainable here in the States now, getting easier to get a hold of. Look at that, and it's drying now. It really doesn't look too bad. This probably won't affect whatever you put down decals and paint that bad. And I've got something very cool I'm going to do later on and show you with that. So we'll look at that some other time. But this was with Tamiya. That's something that most of us use, is the Tamiya paints. And actually, it really did nice. Look at that. It gave it a nice sheen. It looks a little more like a frickin' tire. And knocked that gleam off and that shininess off. Look at the difference. There you go. Hand lettered, cleared, all your detail. That's, you know, how long was this video? And I'm keeping it as much real time as possible so you get how long I really spent on this. Let's give you a look. And with a little bit more time you want to put into it, if you want to, you could probably get even better results. A lot of practice, steady hand. I enjoy doing this. This is very, very gratifying to me over going ahead and laying a decal down, and I'm not kicking that because I do it. I got a couple cars that I do use the decals. I do use the stencil. I really like these stencils. If there's any companies, I've heard there's some companies that are starting to do it, but I have these old stencils that were from Replicas of Miniatures of Maryland that Norm Weber made, and they were awesome. They were photo etched right here. They look like that, and these are awesome. This will show you. You see how in the good years you got all your lines that hold the center holes and all that stuff. These give you a really great effect. Those are awesome. Then you gotta, you know, and what was nice about the monogram ones, and they only put the Goodyears on the other side, so you could flip them around or take the time to sand that off. Or with Salvino's JR models, their new tires that they're making don't have anything on it, and they provide decals, and that's a great thing. A lot of people prefer that. That is probably the popular way to go these days. But for me, any chance I can use the old stuff, you know, I got so many of these tires from having so many of these kits over the years that I really like using the monogram tire. And as you can see, I was showing you, if you look at what these tires were like back in the day, they nailed the profile. They nailed how this whole shape and crown of the tread area and how it came in and gradually came in with the sidewall. They weren't like completely square or anything. Monogram did very well. There you go. We are doing it up. I hope you liked this video. I hope it helped you out. This was fun to do. It's been on my mind for a long time to do for you guys. I was so happy to get a hold of these AK markers. Real colors. I love these. I'm going to be getting more different colors. Like I said, I have sitting around here rubber black. I'm planning on doing this on a 911, those little cars that were made in Stuttgart, Germany. And then I have somewhere around here, I have my metal ones that I did in that last video, which now I'm up to 6. They do make that complete set. I think I'd rather just pick up the colors I like to use. And who knows? There's 2 ways to go about it. Love this product from AK Interactive, man. This was a great new invention brought to our hobby. Never was a paint marker guy. Never thought I'd ever use paint markers. I messed with them here and then, and they always made me very sad. So there you go. It's always fun to discover new products. So much new product has been coming out in the past 10 years, past 5 years. It's been crazy. It's getting easier to get a hold of with ordering from all sorts of sources, and Andy's Hobby Headquarters always has these stocked up. You can get them from Andy's Hobby Headquarters, obviously. Right there. The warehouse is gigantuousest. The store is wow, big car selection, and it's the most Japanese imports I happen to always have been into. Tamiya and Aoshima and Fujimi, and it was always kind of hard to get a hold of, and when you'd see them in the hobby shops, there'd be a little area with like maybe 4 or 5 kits on the shelf. Not at Andy's. There's like a row that's it's filled just as big as the Revell and AMT side. So it's something else. You get to Phoenix, you gotta go to Andy's Hobby headquarters at the new mega store. So there you go. I'm done with this. Why do we like going to hobby shops, and why do we like buying new things for our model cars, and why do we even build model cars? Oh, right, that's right, because they're fun, right? Here's the producers.
Hello, Phoenix!